Hello, my name is Cory Fisk, and I'm the founder of Construction Management Online. So I have to apologize. There's nothing like talking to yourself for 30 minutes and realizing that the record button did not play. So I'm providing this replay for you. But I wanted to come in on Mentorship Monday and discuss the 3 questions that we're going to be going over. And these are going to help us understand better how to become construction managers. And so, our first question for today is going to be how to handle a hothead. Now, this may seem like an unfair question because who in construction has ever been around a hothead? But what I would say is that we need to recognize that in construction, we do have a lot of hotheads. And what we need to recognize is first and foremost, we can never know what anyone else is going through. And a lot of times, the emotional stress that we have from personal problems can carry over into our work. And so, when we try to suppress those and keep those down when we're in our work situation, they are going to find themselves out in other ways. And a lot of times, it could have nothing to do with you or the question that you've asked or the reason why they're being a hothead. So I would first want you to really recognize that and understand the importance of relationships, because this is going to help you understand this person better. And if this is something that they're just experiencing in this one incident, or if this is something that is being practiced all of the time. The other thing that I really want you to keep into consideration is we all have different roles and responsibilities in a construction project. And it's often underlooked the amount of pressure and stress that can be on a superintendent. I mean, just imagine you're asking a question to this person who's in charge of the work on this particular project. How many other people have also asked them the same question or other questions in that particular day? So often on a construction project site, we have deadlines that we're trying to meet. We have really tight budgets that almost seem impossible and in many times are impossible to meet. And so sometimes, in order to be able to provide a response, it may seem very short and it may seem as though we're being a hothead. The other thing that I want you to recognize is it really could just be how you're interpreting it. Now, there's nothing like a superintendent throwing his hard hat and his face turning red and his neck turning red and the blood of the veins just popping out, okay? That gives us a pretty good indication that they're going to be angry and they're a hothead. Okay. But I'm saying there's a lot of other times when you might consider someone a hothead just because they've been short with their message or they haven't provided a lot of detail or explanation with their answer. And a lot of times they're putting out fires all day long, or they're focused on the task that's specifically in front of them in that moment. We all think differently and we all work differently. So those that are in superintendent positions often like to be able to stay very direct and focused on what it is that they're working on. And questions or outside influences or distractions are going to pull them away from the productivity that they're trying to get done on this task. And so you may get a short answer, but that answer is not to be interpreted as being rude or disrespectful. It simply is them trying to provide you with what you want, which is a response, but then them also being able to get back and focused on what they're doing. So don't always think that it's just them being a hothead. Maybe it's the way that you've asked the question. Maybe it's the expectation of the type of answer that you are trying to get to. And so maybe it just means that by you understanding this person better and having a better relationship with them, that you will be able to start your conversation off instead of with a question, maybe a greeting. Hey, how's it going? How was your weekend? I have this really important thing that I need to get off of my plate, and I was hoping I could get your help. Versus, hey, do you know what happened to this? So it really could change the response of a person by just changing the way that you ask the question. Then also having awareness. Is this really the time to be asking this person a question? They're in the middle of trying to back up a concrete truck over a footing that, if they're not paying attention, the back wheels of the concrete truck are going to land in it. So while they're directing the shoot, don't be asking them about whether or not they got their daily report in that day, So being able to have awareness of what it is that you're asking and the importance of it. Do you really have to have the answer right then and there? Can you tell that this person is not in a place that they are going to be responding to you in a pleasant manner, or your expectations of what should be received as the answer? And so your awareness in this situation is going to help a lot when a hothead is coming at you. Now, there are times when there's no control over it, right? They're just going to come slamming into your trailer. There's nothing you can do about it. The hard hat's going to be thrown and the screaming is going to start. And nothing can keep that scream going like your reaction. So when you bow up your chest and you go stand toe to toe and you start screaming back, that is when there is no resolution that's going to happen in that moment. And so when a hothead comes blowing into your trailer, what I like to do is I have a couple of memorized phrases that I use. And I know it sounds silly. Oh, you have to memorize it. Yeah, I do. Because when somebody comes blowing into my trailer, I want to get up back in their face as much as they want to get in mine, because you don't treat me like that and you don't talk to me like that. And so it is a reaction to go and hit that energy at the same pace that it's coming at you. And that's not going to resolve anything. And so many times what's coming off of my tongue may not be exactly what I want being said, because there's not a lot that's taking charge of the calmness in the moment. But if I memorize something that I want to be able to say, and I can put that out there, it gives me time to take a breath and to breathe and to provide a requirement of their response while I think of the next thing that I want to say or do. So when somebody comes blowing into my trailer and I've memorized, hey, John, nice to see you today. I'm sorry that you're upset. Is it possible that we can talk about this in 15 minutes when you've been able to cool off? And then you'll get your response. Or you could say, John, I'm really sorry about this. I don't know what's going on. It seems that you're very upset about it. I have other things on my plate right now. I cannot address this. Can you please meet with me in 3 hours at the end of the day? And this gives you time to be able to try to gather evidence, try to be able to collect information about the subject, and be able to present in a way that takes the emotion out of it and allows us to be able to respond to the incident or the event in that particular moment. And so those are just a couple ideas. You can memorize whatever it is that you think that you need in order to be able to buy time for you to be able to collect information, collect yourself, be able to have the maturity to be able to approach it in a problem-solving way that is going to be a benefit to everyone, because sitting there screaming at each other certainly is not the way to answer it. So if you have a hothead that's on your job site, give them the benefit of the doubt. Try to do what you can to develop a relationship with that person so you get to know their personality and you know when is a good time to ask questions and when might not be. Really check yourself and have awareness of how you're delivering your question and how you are and how important it is that you receive the answer to that question in that particular moment, and whether or not maybe there's another person who could be as equally beneficial in the response to that question for you not to have to engage with this person who seems to be distracted with either personal trauma or other work trauma that is causing them to be very short and very emotionally responsive. The other thing that we would also want to take into consideration is that a lot of times it just really is that this person is more of an introverted type, and that short answers are the way that they do things. And there is nothing to be taken from that except for the way that that's how they answer it. And so it can feel hurtful, but that's more about you and how your expectation of the answer needed to be received. So we want to be able to give them some space in their particular working style, their thinking patterns, and recognize through awareness that we really are more responsible for the response of keeping calm in the moment. So with that, let's move to the next question. Whoops. Which is, how do I get a construction management job after graduation? So this question actually came up last week. We had a young lady who had just finished her master's program and was starting to look for work in the construction industry. This can be a little bit frustrating when you're leaving the construction management pathway from formal education. And this is the reason why. We hear about all of the opportunities in construction and how the construction workforce is short. They need hands, they need people. And here we just graduated, we're ready to jump in. The construction industry really is needing a workforce of people willing and wanting to use their hands and jump into the trades side of things. We need worker bees. We need people who are able to perform with expertise in plumbing, electrical, mechanical, carpentry, all of the different trades that we work with. And that's not to take away value of your construction management degree. You've learned a lot of things in the construction industry that now have provided you with a knowledge base necessary to be a successful construction manager. However, a lot of our management is in the management of people, and the exact people who have been working in the trades all of these years and have tremendous amount of experience that unless you've been concurrently also working in the trades while working on your education, you're not going to have. And so the community that you've been involved in has mostly been classmates and professors who've been in the classroom experiencing the technical concepts of the construction industry. There's a lot that goes on a job site that cannot be explained in a textbook. And that's why you can't skip experience. This is experience that is going to be necessary for you to be a successful construction manager. So the best way is to enter into internships or enter into applications for apprenticeship that allow you to be able to be led by an experienced person while you're trying to move into your construction management position. Now, most of us start as a field engineer, project engineer, and then we move into an assistant construction manager, a construction manager position, and then a project manager position. So I would really encourage, if at all possible, that you do the hands-on work. So whether that's after you've gotten your degree or concurrently while you're going to school, having empathy and compassion and understanding for what goes on out in the field and actually experiencing it for yourself before you move into a construction management pathway is going to be more valuable than I could ever explain. This also is said for employers who still haven't really promoted within their streamline or their pipeline of employees, because it best suits a company to have people in roles that they're really good at. So if you're a really good electrician or a really good superintendent, for you to be promoted into a management position takes away that space, and then they have to backfill that position. And so being able to promote from within hasn't really been done as successfully as it needs to be done. And then also with the awareness that working with your hands and working in management are two completely different skill sets. We're using actually two completely different sides of our brain. And so for 15, 20 years, you've been using the left side of your brain that does all of this hands-on work. And now you're trying to transition over into a management position. Knowing how to do something is not always easily translated in how to teach others and explain and guide others how to do it in the oversight of your management. And so being able to promote that from within is going to be really important. So specifically back to someone who's gone through formal education, who's looking for a job as a construction manager, the best place that you're going to be able to do that is by getting your feet in the ground and shaking hands, developing networking, developing relationships, and getting to know people who are in positions similar to where you want to see yourself. Sometimes that means taking a job a little bit lower than the one that you think that you deserve. Getting your foot in the door is more important than nailing the one job that you think that you want that is going to start your career. The other thing I will also say is it's always easier to get a job when you have a job. So even though I like people to be able to align their jobs that they choose with the type of work that they want to be doing for the rest of their life, sometimes it's just important to show on your resume that you are a hardworking individual who's ready to learn and wants to move into the position than someone who's not working at the time of trying to get employment. So this is really important. You can fill out as many applications as you want online, but I really don't feel that that is a place that you're going to see a lot of success. It is about who you know and how you get there. So getting your foot in the door is really, really important. I've had individuals in my classes who I've told them literally, go to the job trailer, knock on the door and tell them that you will update their as-built for free on Fridays for 4 hours just to be able to learn from them a task that would make you a more valuable potential employee for that company. And after a while, if you put in the work, they're going to see the value in what you have to offer, and they're going to find a place for you. So always being able to be out there, get your relationships in place, shake some hands, do some networking is going to be the best way for you to get a job after graduation. And for question number 3, we will move to, how do I balance my life with the demands of a construction management career? There were a few times in my life when I thought it would be better just to go back to the job site. I was always, as an equipment operator, I could get off at 4:30 and be done with work. I wouldn't have to think about it. I could go home, I could relax, I could ride my horses, I could paint, I could go out into my garden. I didn't have to think about work until the next morning. But as a construction manager, we're on 24/7. We're thinking and preparing for tomorrow, only to find out that tomorrow has fires that is going to blow all of it back up in our face. And so as a construction and project manager, it is very stressful being in construction. Construction is hard, no matter what piece of it you're involved in. But it's only hard for a short period of time. And then you get to recognize the rewards. You get to recognize how your efforts put together this big, beautiful project. You get to recognize the financial rewards of the construction industry. Any of us who've ever been parents have heard that little voice in the back seat. Did you build that? And of course you were, yes, of course I built it. Me and 1,500 of my other friends. And so recognizing that we are in a hard industry, but if we know that it's hard and we can develop what kind of resilience is necessary to be in this industry, then we're going to be successful in this industry for a very long period of time. So, what I want to be able to tell you is that when we're looking at our life work balance, that it really comes into the same way that we manage a project, we're going to be able to manage our life. And so recognizing that in life, we schedule doctor's appointments, we schedule scope of work for everything that we're going to do that day, we balance our checkbook. We're doing the same thing in project management. So now we need to find time in our project for time that we're going to balance our life. So drinking a glass of water once an hour or taking a 10-minute break. And knowing you know yourself. And so that break isn't going to be best taken in the middle of typing up meeting minutes. It's going to be better served at the end of the meeting minutes where you don't have to be distracted in the middle of a task. So when we manage our project like we manage our life, or we manage our life like we manage a project, then we're able to recognize that there's going to be times of hardship. And we call that short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. And so being able to implement time in your life for relaxation, for release of tension and anxiety is going to be very important. The best way to be able to do that is through music or through exercise or through breathing exercises, and just really focus on letting your mind be empty for those moments when you're trying to relax. So with that, I hope that you've had a great time today. I'm so sorry for the mix-up. I'm not quite sure what happened with my StreamYard today. I also want to remind any of you that you can follow construction management online on LinkedIn, and you can find a construction manager who's already leading a destination map that's closely aligned with yours, and just be able to identify with them of certain struggles and challenges that they're facing and possibly help you be able to get through some of those struggles. I also want to remind you that we have our latest Skill Builder course that's been released, Leverage the Power of AI in Construction Management. Now, I'm not professing to be any kind of AI expertise. As we can tell, my technology is very challenged, but I will tell you that I have been able to easily learn how to do this to impact the production of my day. And I felt it was so powerful that I wanted to make sure that you also had the opportunity. And so I've just kind of manipulated it a little bit to use more construction terms to help make your day more productive. And I've worked with several superintendents already who have said that it's helped them with their daily reports, writing correspondence, even putting together meeting minutes for them. So I would invite you to go to our Skill Builder and find that. And then if you want to follow any of the short videos, you can always find those on our YouTube channel at cmonline. Thank you again for being here on Monday. We will see you next Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And just to make sure that you're on our notification list, make sure that you subscribe to the Construction Management Online newsletter. Have an absolutely wonderful week.